Hey guys and girls, my name is Alan and welcome to today's News Shop episode. So you can probably tell from the title of the video, I'm going to be covering the Naughty Dog stream that they did a couple of days ago regarding the co-op survival DLC release. Well, technically it's just Uncharted 4 survival because you can play it solo if you wanted to. And also some of the multiplayer stuff they're also releasing with that DLC patch update. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to do this video on the night. I did watch the footage, I got a load of screenshots, I made a load of notes. But I couldn't start recording because it was so late and I had to go to bed. I had work the next day, so I haven't actually played it yet. So this is now technically Thursday morning. So I'm in the process of downloading the DLC. It is out at the moment, so if you haven't yet started the download, maybe put it on in the background and then come back and watch the video, or just let it run overnight or whatever you guys normally do, because it is quite a large patch. It is 3.7 gig. Is a big update. So it's going to, well, probably going to take me not that long, but it gives me a perfect opportunity to do this, basically record this. This is what I wanted to do before I jumped online, because I know that once I start playing co-op, I'm not going to be off co-op for a very long time. So the stream itself was an hour and a half or thereabouts, and for something quite long, there wasn't that much information in there. I mean, there were points, there's quite a lot for me to talk about today, but in terms of what information they gave, not that much for an hour and a half stream, so they probably could have condensed it, and then maybe I would have got it out on Tuesday night instead of having to do it now. It's worth noting, I haven't even had breakfast yet. I've woken up, I've obviously, freshened myself up and everything, made myself a cup of tea, obviously, and now I'm just sitting down and I'm going to start doing this. So enough waffle, let's get on with all the good stuff. Okay, so as per usual, I have made notes, as I said at the start. I've got a list in front of me, so I'm going to read out the list and then we'll talk through them as we go along. So as I said, it is available now. You don't even have to go to the store, just go to your game, press triangle, update the game, it will download just under 4 gigs. Alright, so there are 2 new maps, not 3, as I sort of tried to identify in the trailer analysis that I did. So the 2 new maps are Prison and Trainwreck. Well, technically 1 new map then. Trainwreck is a remaster coming back from Uncharted 2. It's a snowy version, not the summery version that was featured in Uncharted 3. Again, talked about this already in the trailer analysis, so we'll go over it again. I will, of course, be doing map walkthroughs of these 2 maps. Damn, that's something else I need to do. So I might do that before jumping into co-op, because as I said, I won't be able to do it after I've started playing co-op. So yeah, okay, look out for those on the channel. They will be coming, but if you've already played Trainwreck, it's more or less the same. They've added a few rope swings, a bit more details to the landscape, but apart from that, the map itself, as far as I can tell, is more or less the same. I don't know if the snow is a bit thicker, or I mean, like, the snowfall, that sort of thing. But as I said, I'll do a walkthrough and I'll put that on the channel. There are 5 new weapons coming back. Again, I use the word new with inverted commas because technically they're returning weapons, and the developers call them returning classics, which I guess I sort of agree with. So there's 1 assault rifle, the M4, coming back, whoop whoop, right? There's a Para 9, my favourite pistol from Uncharted 3, so again, happy with that. The Micro 9mm returning from Uncharted 2, and I think it also featured in Uncharted 3, so I'm not too sure which variant they're bringing back, because it was slightly different in Uncharted 3 than it was in Uncharted 2. And 1 new heavy weapon, the Desert 5, which as we all know is a deagle. Now the final weapon, not a heavy weapon by the way, I've just left it for the last because it's kind of interesting, is in fact an LMG, and it's the Pak 80 returning from Uncharted 3. Now in Uncharted 3 the Pak 80 was actually a heavy weapon, so I'm not too sure how that's going to work for multiplayer, because, well, for starters, right, there's no reloading. It's an LMG with like a massive clip. I don't know how big it goes up to exactly, but on the stream they said you don't have to reload this weapon because it's a single clip. So any ammo you pick up will automatically go to the magazine, basically. So in effect, if you run with Scavenger 2 or 3, you'd never have to reload, and you don't even need to equip lock and load. So I don't know what the hell they were thinking putting this in. I mean, the P90 is pretty bad as it is with a 50 mag clip, assuming you don't use extended mags. But this LMG, the Pak 80, man, the guy on the stream, I mean, I don't know if he was just genuinely a good player or not, but he was doing work with this weapon, right? So I'm so interested to see how this pans out in multiplayer. I reckon this is going to be the new weapon to go to, especially for people who like, rush in or whatever. But it did have slightly high recoil, obviously, because it's an LMG. Rate of fire was so-so, damage was so-so. I guess I'd compare it to the Stoner, but then surely this would make the Stoner heavy weapon obsolete. Why would you bring a heavy weapon and have to buy it when you can just bring a LMG and not have to buy it? you know. I mean, the only reason for using the stoner in the first place is because of the large clip size. I mean, I guess the damage is okay, but you don't bring it because of the damage. You bring it because it's a weapon that you can just spray for like half a minute and mow down a bunch of enemies. So I can only assume that this is just going to replace that. And as I said, because of the large clip size, it makes it good for rushing players who can rush into enemy spawns. It makes it good for defensive players because you'd have to reload. They also said that actually if you fire from cover, the recoil is actually reduced a little bit. So this is just going to be all sorts of crazy for campers and all sorts. Anyway, so looking forward to trying that out, and of course I will be posting footage of that to AcornVision Gaming, so head over to that channel. Well, the footage is going to go up at some point. It's not going to go up yet because I haven't actually unlocked the weapon. I still need to do weapon chest opening as well. Bloody hell, I've got so much to do. Alright, before we move on, there's just two things about the Desert 5 that I didn't actually mention. So Desert 5 Desert Eagle is a 3-shot down, 1 headshot down. So it takes 1 more body shot than the Barrack. However, same number of headshots. It does, however, have a faster rate of fire than the Barrack. Not too sure about the recoil difference. I imagine it'd be similar, but I guess with the higher rate of fire, you have to assume that the Desert Eagle is going to have a higher recoil because of that. I think the biggest distinguishing feature between the two weapons is the fact that the Desert 5 has a larger clip, almost double the size of the Barrack. So immediately, I'd rather take the clip size over the actual bullet down because, I mean, with the Barrack, you've got 6 in the chamber, right? You've got 6 in the wheel. So you takes 2 to down. So assuming you swap weapons, you have to then put someone down, switch back to it, another 2, and so on and so forth. With the Deagle, you could technically just pop off three people without having to swap weapons or anything at all, and that includes confirming the kills. So yeah, I'm not too sure how that's going to work. Again, I think they've replaced the Barrack basically with the Deagle, so I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. So obviously with any new patch / DLC, they always introduce more vanity items. So if you're interested in those, then I think you're going to be quite happy with some of the things they're bringing into the game. So there's a new theme called Biker, and as you would expect, there's quite a lot of goggles and leather jackets and that sort of thing. And there's more pirate stuff, so they're continuing that theme as well. I mean, obviously, as each patch comes out, they sort of just add more stuff for the existing characters that didn't maybe get a look in the first time round. And then there's another theme called Warriors. Now, Warriors is in like, how would you describe it? Ancient Warriors, not like... There's a few screenshots that I'll put in the video, so you can check those out as the video goes on. And there's actually a few more weapon skins as well, so if you like to pimp out your weapons, then I guess you can do that. Again, I mean, you know my thoughts on vanity items. I'm not particularly fussed. I'm more excited about the new content, physical content, rather than just cosmetics. There is actually one cosmetic change they've made that I'm quite excited for, sort of excited for, and then that is you can actually change the color options on your clothes. Now, unlike Uncharted 3, where you could individually change, like say your top, your trousers, that sort of thing, in Uncharted 4 at the moment, all they've done is added like a color palette. So you highlight an outfit. Let's say, well, I'll use the one they showed in the stream. They highlighted the Pirate Drake, and basically you press triangle and it brings up a list of color options, and they're preset, so you can't change them. So they've all got unique names, as you can see on the screen now. And basically there's 25 altogether, so 25 color palettes per outfit, I guess. They're all the same color palette, so it doesn't matter which character you go to, they're all going to be the same. And basically you just scroll down, obviously you select the one you want. So as you can see, there's all sorts of weird ones, but they're all preset, so you can't actually manually pick what color you want for the top and the bottom. It's sort of just preset. It's good that there's more colors, but at the same time, I would have preferred just the option to do it manually, pick what colors I wanted. But that does add a lot more customization options to multiplayer for those that enjoy dressing up their characters. Okay, so moving on to levels. I mean, obviously they've added a whole new set of icons for the co-op leveling system, and I'll show that later on in the video. And they've also added new emblems to go alongside it. So in the previous game, Uncharted 3, when you play co-op and you earn the star, it will just be added to the leveling icon in the menu. But now they've done it separately, so you've got the level on the left, and then you've got how well you do performance-wise on the right-hand side, so they're completely separate. And the reason why they've done it separately is so that when you play multiplayer, even though you've got a different multiplayer rank because it's a separate system, you can still show off your star emblem. What I'm curious to know is, how does that work with multiplayer? Because do other people actually see the emblem unless they're in your party like it is at the moment with ranks, or does everybody see it? I guess it's not that intimidating because co-op is separate to multiplayer, but at the same time, I don't understand why they still haven't yet introduced where you can see everybody's rank in the lobby. It really bugs me, but hopefully they'll work on that soon. Okay, so in multiplayer they've added 10 new levels, so that's it goes up to 90 now. So previously it was just 80. So at 85 you get yourself a new skull, and at 90 you also get a new skull. So for those that like weighing the skulls, so at 85 you get the Jin Skull of the Undying Blood, as you can see on the screen now, and at 90 you get Jin Skull of the Undying Wraith. So it's that purpley camo color that you can have for your weapons. For me personally, I'm not the biggest fan of the skulls. I mean they look okay, but for starters, they stand out ridiculously. So, you know, from a tactical point of view, not very good. And also, I mean, showing off your rank doesn't... I mean, I guess possibly this comes down to the fact that ranks aren't shown in lobbies, so people have to try and show off in a different way. But level to me doesn't really mean that much. I mean, we've all been there, right? You've played multiplayer games and you've got someone in the lobby who's like 10th prestige or whatever, and they come like halfway on the scoreboard. That doesn't really impress me. So yeah, it's not about rank, it's how well you do in the match. Level doesn't really mean anything to me unless you place well on the scoreboard, in which case, you know, let the score do the talking sort of thing. Okay. Right. So they mentioned the store very briefly. Apparently some of the chests are going to come down in price. I haven't yet looked at the store, so I don't know what the prices are going to be now, but I'm hoping it's for gameplay content, because 3,000 per chest, and for one item in particular, is very expensive, especially where you can get like vanity items for like 150, and then you get like booster chests for 100. So I think somewhere in the 2,000 range, or maybe a little bit less, maybe 1,500 per gameplay chest. That would be pretty decent. I don't care about the like the premium DLC vanity chest. That can stay high. I'm not really fussed. I'm never going to buy one, so it doesn't make a difference to me. But again, for some of you people out there, I know you do like that sort of thing, so maybe they should consider everyone as well. And apparently, because of the way they're changing the pricing structure of the chests in the multiplayer store, people who might have spent real world money on Uncharted points or coins, whatever they're called, apparently you get like a VIP status. So I don't know how I feel about that. Just because someone spent money on the game doesn't necessarily mean they should get a different status just because they've spent, I don't know, whatever amount of money on coins. And people who haven't spent and just grinded it for a much longer amount of time get nothing. I don't really know how I feel about that, but as I said, I haven't seen it yet, so I don't know what the actual situation is. Okay, so I've left this one until last, but basically they are bringing a new game mode in, and the reason why I've left it till last is because they're still technically beta testing it. So at the moment we've got classic mode in the beta playlist. I think they're going to add this to the rotation or have it as a separate one. I'm not too sure yet, but it's basically called King of the Hill. Now when I first thought King of the Hill, I thought, okay, so you know, reverting back to the original Uncharted 2, Uncharted 3 King of the Hill, which is fun. I like that. But then I saw it, and it's I don't think it is King of the Hill. I think it's something else. They've called it that, but they've made changes, and it's no longer King of the Hill. In my opinion, it might as well be called Headquarters Pro from Call of Duty, because, all right, let's just start from the beginning. So they played a match, and the first hill came onto the map, but you couldn't cap it until a certain amount of time has passed, just like Headquarters Pro. So both teams were fighting over it, and then eventually I almost said Headquarters then. So after the time has passed, the hill became available, and then obviously, to cap it, you need to clear out the enemies and then have your team or team members in that hill to cap it. I don't know if having more players increases the speed. I would hope so. But basically, once they capped it, the hill was theirs. And then a 60-second countdown timer begins. Now, if you manage to control the hill for 60 seconds, you get the full 60 seconds of points. However, if you get killed, once your team has the hill, you do not respawn. Again, like Headquarters. So in that respect, as I said, I would call it Headquarters meets Hardpoint, because they give you an area that you can cap. It's not like a small area. It's pretty big. It's almost like a siege area, I suppose. That's probably where they've used the areas measurements from co-op. So as I said, it's Headquarters Pro / Hardpoint. I don't know why they called it King of the Hill. I probably would change the name at this point. But also, I'm not a fan of the fact you don't respawn after capping the hill. In my opinion, I would probably prefer the no respawn after capping the hill to be removed, because I think that takes away from the flow of the game. No one likes to spectate, you know, so I'd rather get back into the match and then obviously try and defend the hill, and it would just make it a bit more competitive if both teams were fighting over it, and whoever had control at the time would gain the points. I don't know if it's because of the time limit constraint or whatever, but Hardpoint was really fun in Call of Duty. I really enjoyed that, so I think it would be a good addition to well, maybe even, why not make both? Why not make both game modes, Headquarters and Hardpoint? You know, you got the siege areas already, just tweak a few of the numbers here and there, and Bob's your uncle. There you are, Naughty Dog. You're welcome. Yeah, so that was the first hill. Now, the second hill was a little bit weird, and it was a little bit funny to watch on stream as well, because basically 2 neutral points appeared on the screen. And again, you couldn't capture either until the countdown time had passed. But the developers themselves were a bit confused as to what the hell was going on. So I'm thinking they hadn't quite finished this game mode, or at least they hadn't talked about it beforehand. And they were like, well, which hill do we go for? Because there's 2 on the screen. And then they were umming and ahhing, and it was just funny. Eventually, the hills did become available, and because the enemy team were in one of them, they could start capping, and because the team that we were spectating were sort of on the wrong hill, or maybe they weren't in it at the time, they couldn't start capping. So I think it's both hills are available, and then whoever's in the hill first, well, each of the hills first, starts to cap it. But then what happens if both teams are in the hills, opposite side of the map? What happens then? I'm not too sure. It could be a random placement, in which case, why have 2 hills? You might as well just have the first one. So I don't think that they haven't finalized this game mode yet. As I said, it's still in beta testing, for good reason, because they can't quite decide what it is that they want to do with this game mode. We'll have to wait and see how it goes. As I said, 2 potential game modes to be made from this one thing that they've introduced. So hopefully they take some of that on board. And one other thing to note about the hill is that once you've actually captured it, you don't have to stay in there to defend it. Much like headquarters and hardpoint, you can actually defend from outside of the hill. And because once you've captured it, basically you can't lose it. So the entire team could leave if they wanted to, which again I don't think is a good thing to have. With hardpoint, you need someone in the hill to capture points, and that creates more of a tactical gameplay. With headquarters, again, because I guess they've introduced the no respawning thing to make things a bit more balanced, because otherwise you could just slay and slay and slay, and the enemy team would never be able to get into the hardpoint headquarters hill. But I just think there's a bit of fine-tuning balancing that could be done regarding that game mode or game modes. Okay, so there's just a few more minor points I need to talk about for multiplayer before we move on to co-op, and co-op will form obviously the second part of this news drop episode. So they mentioned that music is returning to the multiplayer lobby. So in Uncharted 2 and Uncharted 3, they would play the soundtrack in the background. You didn't get that in Uncharted 4. I don't know why, but now they've added like classic tunes. Classic tunes. So they've added classic soundtracks from Uncharted 2 and Uncharted 3. So that's really good. Looking forward to listening to that music. Just brings back memories listening to some of those. Sitting in the lobby waiting for 20 minutes to find a match. Those are the good old days. And then obviously getting lumbered with level. Oh, don't even get me started. There are some trophies. Now, calm down. They're just for co-op. So there's no multiplayer trophies, which is good. I'm not a fan of multiplayer trophies, but co-op trophies, I don't mind those, because you can sort of work on those with friends, and you don't have to stress about it too much because it's not competitive. So there are a couple of trophies. I saw one of them being shown in the stream. It'll be on the screen right now. So they don't seem to be anything particularly taxing at the moment. Obviously I haven't seen the trophy list, so I can't say for sure what they are, but it seems to me like just beating up enemies on that map, and this guy got the trophy. So yeah, it could be as simple as that. Okay, so apparently there's 2 more major updates coming for Uncharted 4 multiplayer. You can check out the roadmap video. Obviously I talk about a bit more there, but they mentioned 2, so I'm guessing co-op adventure, hopefully, and then something else. I guess it could just be another multiplayer update, but I'm definitely hoping co-op adventure comes at some point. They didn't mention it at all, so I'm just speculating that it is coming, but it was such a big feature of Uncharted 2 and Uncharted 3. I can't see them not bringing it back. I mean, co-op survival eventually came back, Arena, so I can only imagine that they're working on adventure, and it's just taking a bit longer to ship out the door, but that's fine. I don't mind waiting. I've got Arena now, so this will keep me occupied for the next 3-4 months, so as long as it comes, then I'm happy with that. There are no weapon balancing or changes this particular patch. The reason why is because they want to see how the new weapons go first, and then obviously adjust as necessary. Otherwise it'll be a patch this month and a patch next month, and then have to wait and see, and then another patch the following month. So they're going to wait and see how these new weapons fare against the original ones, and then they're going to make adjustments as necessary. I can foresee possibly the Pack 80 getting nerfed already, just because a lot of people are going to use that weapon. Like, it's going to be very, very popular. I mean, you saw how popular the P90 was. This is going to be the assault rifle equivalent of the P90. So that's it for competitive multiplayer. Quite a long segment, despite the fact that I said there was not much to talk about. But again, a lot of it's my personal opinion, and I like to think that that's what you guys and girls are here for. Obviously for the news, as well as my own thoughts on the situation. So the next video is going to be about co-op survival, or Uncharted 4 survival. So check out the link at the end of the video. If not, I'll also link it in the description. So head over there if you want to find out more about the co-op stuff. Right, so I'm going to take a little short breather and then I'll start recording the next video. As per usual, if you enjoy the content, consider tapping the like button. I really do appreciate it. And hopefully you'll be able to join me for the next one.